And welcome back everybody to another Modern Melee video with Marco and Ginkgo. This round we bring you Merfolk versus Jund Sagavan.
Very interesting matchup. Merfolk, not the deck we see often, and we like that here. We like to see some decks that we don't see often. We like to see them
Exactly.
often.
Often, or more often. Exactly. So Merfolk did have a resurgence in both popularity and actually in power. If you do not know, the premise of Merfolk is simple. You play fish, then you play more fish that pump up other fish, and you smash face. It is one of the oldest tribes and one of the oldest tribe decks in Magic, actually. And Modern Horizons 2 gave it several very powerful cards, including Svielun and Tide Shaper. Both excellent additions to the deck because besides Curse Catcher that we see here, because of Inquisition of Kozilek, it lacked a good one-drop. It has a lot of powerful Merfolk lords that all pump other Merfolks, but it really lacked a good one-drop. And Tide Shaper is not only a good one-drop Merfolk, but it also disrupts the opponent's mana.
Indeed.
Yes.
Indeed. And paired against it is, of course, the deck that needs no introduction, Jund Sagavan.
Yes.
Thing that plays Saga, Urza Sagas and Ragavans and Tarmogoyfs and Bolts and the removal and Mishra's Bauble and Deer and so on.
And yes, it is a money pile that conglomerates all of those things into, as we saw earlier, stoppable but barely stoppable machine. And we see some more discards, another Tarmogoyf, and one of the best cards from Merfolk is the Silver Gill Adept. And it can be played as a 2 mana and drawn a card if you have revealed a Merfolk from your deck. And we have seen it with Curse Catcher, and immediately the Curse Catcher has been played from the Aether Vial, one of the biggest upsides from any creature deck, because you cheat on mana.
Mm-hmm.
It's free mana, it's free real estate. And we see the Jund player without any lands, only one black mana source, and this does not bode well.
Thank God he discarded it, Spreading Seas, or he would have
only blue mana.
Yeah.
And we see here no cards in hand either, except for an island from the Merfolk player, but he doesn't have to have it because Svielun draws cards when it attacks. And this is one of the strengths also of Merfolk, is the pain-free mana base, the Mutavaults that can also be pumped by a lord that we see here, and just relentless pummeling, card advantage, and just enough disruption that it can stave off something like some peskier decks such as Reanimator or something else, some combo decks.
Of course, we have a life counter in the top part, but we have a life counter of one player.
Exactly.
The other one
and
is
the shiny bright spot for the other player.
Yeah.
We will try to fix that for the next round, don't worry about it, but as it now seems, we will know when the Jund player concedes, because this is just a lot of power for this board, and they are definitely at a low life total.
Yeah, there is a really low chance of coming back for Jund. That is basically a very slow deck. Not a very slow deck, but playing from behind, I feel like this deck has some problems.
Exactly. So one of the strengths of Jund is definitely playing at parity, playing without cards in hand, or playing when the board is stalled. But when there are creatures on the board, and especially when it is behind, it has a lot of problems doing so. One of saving graces is Tarmogoyf, but here we see Merfolk Trickster just shutting down Ragavan, and this is game one
Yeah.
going to the blue player on your left. As we said on the beginning, relentless pummeling, and that's it.
I would like to criticize one move from the Jund player. He did fetch for a black red land with
Exactly.
Tarmogoyf in hand, if I'm not mistaken.
Exactly, two of them actually.
It wouldn't matter because of the trickster, right? But I think it was definitely somewhat a mistake.
Exactly. And I do think that Ragavans will be coming out, at least several of them, because this is a matchup where they just cannot go through efficiently and effectively. But now that we're in the sideboards, we know that the Jund player will be bringing in probably some more removal, maybe something like engineered explosives, Colligan's commands, some ways to deal with Aether Vials, because as we said, this is the main engine of the deck in terms of mana generation. And from the blue player, probably nothing much changes. They are the aggressor in this matchup. The Jund is definitely the control player in this matchup, and if the Jund player stays alive long enough while the board is clear, they will win the game.
So tell me, it's a very, very aggressive deck, Merfolk's that is, and it's good at what it does. Why isn't this deck better than it actually is? I don't know if you understand.
Do you mean more popular?
Well, not more popular necessarily, because if it were better, it would be more popular. So, what is this deck lacking? Let me reform my question.
This deck is not lacking much, but it is very intensive to play. It requires brain power and it requires knowledge of matchups, because you need to know where to play on board, when to leave your blockers back, when to attack and smash face, and when you have the luxury to go all in. Because if you make one mistake and the opponent has a board wipe, let's say an Anger of the Gods or something like it, you will be left without a hand and without a board, and probably without some lands too, because several of your lands are Mutavaults. So it really, really needs critical thinking and a good knowledge of the metagame and of everything that this the opponent's deck can do.
Okay, makes sense. Makes sense. So this deck depends rather a lot on the pilot.
Exactly. Yes.
Basically.
This is why it is not so popular.
Yeah.
That's one thing. The second thing is it doesn't have any flashy cards. I do think this is a consideration to be taken into account, because no flashy cards, no Ragavans, nothing from Image 2 except from Svaelun.
Yeah.
And the Tide Shaper, of course. But they're not flashy. They're efficient. They're very good in a good deck, such as with the Merfolk. But they do not do anything that hasn't been done before.
That is true. That is true. One would say the deck is not sexy. It's not sexy.
Exactly.
I hate that. I hate that saying. Okay, so we see Ragavan hitting Tide Shaper, and the player actually decides to play the Tide Shaper unkicked, because why would you kick it?
Exactly.
But
The opponent has only islands, so
yeah, it's still a very interesting decision to spend a treasure to play it.
I mean, but it's a free resource.
True.
Literally, a free real estate. And something that Jund player doesn't have an abundance of, it is a real creature card. And when I say this, I do mean it, because they play 4 Ragavans, 4 DRCs, and 4 Tarmogoyfs, and Lurrus in the sideboard, and that's it.
That's it. Not a lot of creatures.
Yes, these days this is enough. And the creature count and threat count has become less and less impactful and less prevalent in all decks, not
Mm-hmm.
only in this one, except for tribal decks such
Mm-hmm.
as Merfolk. But this is actually a strength of the Merfolk. On the other hand, because it has a lot of threats that are generally interchangeable. They do not mind drawing a Lord of Atlantis over another Lord or something else. They have several key cards, but they are also interchangeable.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe the best one and the least interchangeable one is the Silver Gill Adept, but the other ones all do the same thing basically, and that is smash face and grow the other Merfolk.
True, true. We see now the Saga player will fetch something from the deck with the Urza Saga. He made two constructs. His board
Exactly.
is looking well,
Pretty good.
pretty good. I would also argue, and it's gonna be hard to pull back from this for the Merfolk player.
Yeah, I do think if he gets the Shadow Spear, yes, exactly. We are in what is officially called garbage time.
Garbage time.
Exactly. I mean, the constructs are 4/4. The Aether Vial is only at one charge counter, and if he can equip the Swift Spear either now or any other basically turn, it will be hard to lose.
Plays the Mishra's Bauble,
Exactly.
buffing the constructs.
Hmm. And there is also a treasure from the Ragavan connecting
Yeah,
earlier, and now another
another Saga.
Urza Saga, and uh, exactly
Okay, so
sending into the red zones with everything.
I generally like to hate on the Jund Sagavan. I don't like the deck. I think there are many better variations of this particular archetype, but I think this particular game really showcased how good the deck can be with a lot of value with a lot of value created by Ragavan, DRC, and of course Urza Saga.
Exactly. So this matchup has been brought to you by.
Yeah, yeah. Okay, I need to I need to stop hating so much on the deck. That's true. That's true.
No, but I would say that this game is far from over
Hmm.
because now we come into the two or three spells turn territory, where the Merfolk player has enough cards in hand. They have a Mutavault, they have a Violent too, and there can be a lot of surprises from the deck in terms of just raw power coming from the hand out of nowhere. For example, something like two Lords and a Silver Gill Adept, and bomb out of nowhere there are 3/3s and the Silver Gill a 4/3 or something else, and it just might be enough.
Uh, I'm very hesitant to give so much credit to a 9 life Merfolk player against a DRC with Delirium and a Shadow Spear that will gain life and take life each turn. So it might be quite hard. It might be quite hard, but there's always game three where the Merfolk player will be on the play.
Exactly, but I didn't say it is probable. I said it is possible.
It is true. It is true. It is
But
possible.
this is actually a pretty good start. So Meadow Ridgery coming down, and then a Curse Catcher untapping the land with the Meadow Ridgery.
Mhm.
Now they have another mana, and if they have something else, they can rinse and repeat. Even in combat, they can tap whatever. If they have something to vial in, they can tap whatever the Swift Spear, Shadow Spear, pardon me, comes onto,
True.
and
True.
mitigate that kind of damage, and more importantly, trample and the life gain from the other side. Now, that being said, the constructs are still 4/4s. They will become 5/5s when the Saga deck makes another one, and the DRC is fully powered, so it is a 3/3 flyer, and we see that the Jund player just crunches in with everything. And if the Merfolk player doesn't have anything up their sleeves, I do think this will be enough.
Let's see. He needs to block somehow.
Yeah, big brain time now.
I don't know. Well, he has the Aether Vial, right? So he can have a combat trick.
Yes, of course. Another Lord gets this all,
Mm-hmm.
but he doesn't have anything. Wow.
Oof, that's not good.
That's 8 damage coming across. 7
Seven,
damage?
seven.
Maybe we will see there's a fetch. Maybe they just sped things up. Maybe now will be the time to activate this Urza Saga. 5? Yeah. Yes, exactly.
Okay.
So Saga was being tapped. Yes,
Mhm.
it needs to be tapped. But Merfolk player is at 1. Yes, exactly. And I do not think they have any outs now because that thing flies and those constructs are gigantic.
That thing.
The DRC.
That thing. The dragon raid. I like it being called thing. It's a thing.
It's not thing in the eyes, but it's definitely a thing.
Yeah.
I love that card, thing in the eyes. One of my pet
It's an
cards.
interest. I would like to talk about that.
Yes. But we have a game 2 going to the Jund player now, and hopefully we will have one of the decks being the thing in the ice control deck, or
I hope.
however
I hope.
it is called.
I hope. I'm very excited. Even right now, I'm excited for future with Thing in the Ice.
Yes, exactly. I am. This is one of my paid cards, but we'll probably have it sometimes in the future. But now we have play versus draw for the Jund player and for the Merfolk player, and we see a lot of siding going on from the Merfolk player. Let's see what they side out.
It seems like John Player just upped and left the table.
Exactly. Like, I won my game. Goodbye.
He may be celebrating this win, hard earned win.
I do think that's just a toilet break, but we will see.
Okay, this might be a great time to invite you all to like and subscribe to the channel and the video, and of course comment with suggestions, remarks, and all the good stuff.
Occasional burn as well.
Yeah, we take those as well. So yeah, please go ahead and do that if you like the content, if you want to see more.
Exactly, and it helps the channel immensely. Now, let's see what if the Jund player sides anything in or out on the play versus draw. And I do not think they will. And maybe something to destroy the Aether Vial, that because they saw it can do some shenanigans with the Metal Readery.
Okay, I like this. I find it very hard to. The hardest part of sideboarding is deciding what do you want to do on the play and what do you want to do on the draw.
Yes, exactly. So there are some decks that don't care. Doesn't matter if they're play draw dependent. They just have their own thing and they're doing it the best they can. But there is the high interaction, high octane matchups like this, where it definitely and truly matters, because we saw from the Merfolk player, they just booted out all of the expensive Merfolks out of their main deck and just went on a linear strategy. So smash face as fast as possible, because they're on the play and they want to get all the advantage from it. If they cannot draw extra cards, they will make up for it with extra damage. So now that we are in game 3, this is the deciding game between Merfolk and Jund Saga. I want to ask you this.
Yeah.
Now, the Merfolk is known for playing 4 Mutavaults because they are changelings, right? They
Yeah,
are also Merfolk, and they get thumped up by the lords. Do you think that Saga has any chance of going into the deck? So they usually have played for Mutavaults and several other utility lands, such as land destruction lands, be it Ghost Quarters, be it any other ones, whether the time was for them. But do you think they can afford to play some more utility lands that do not produce blue mana?
That's a very rough question. To be honest, I would like to debate it a bit more, but Merfolk deck is not my forte. I don't know enough about. I never played there. I played a lot against it, but I never felt the deck, so I can say, okay, I have enough blue mana. I can play more utility. I know that I can tell you what I think about Hammer Time, for instance. I played that deck a lot, so I know how much utility I can play inside, how much Inkmoth Nexus, how much Urza Saga. I feel the deck. But here, I'm not so courageous to talk about that.
Okay, we will come to the Hammer Time deck then next, possibly in future matchups, and we see the Merfolk player mulliganing down to 6. They will keep their hand, and so will the Jund player. And we are off to the races with the Merfolk player playing an island and a Tide Shaper, just a lonely 1/1, and a Torment Script.
Interesting play. What do you think about turn 1 Tide Shaper?
I mean, that's a curve consideration, right?
Okay.
Tide Shaper can be a turn 2 play, can be a turn 1 play, because if they have something like Spreading Seas on turn 2 that will take out their only, let's say, red source or black source or their only land, then it doesn't matter, because the Tide Shaper did its job. It will grow still because the opponent has one island from the enchantment, and you will still smash for 2. But if they have another lord or anything else, or as we said, Spreading Seas or anything else, then it is better to play it on turn 1.
Yeah. Okay, fair enough. Fair enough. We see Jund player fetching for green black source. Interesting choice. Turn 1.
They usually usually have Totsis, but it is usually better to fetch a Blood Crypt, almost always, and we see 2 Echoing Truths, right? And yes, a Spreading Seas. So whatever the threats are will be sent to their hands back, and we see, but no second land drop. And crunching for 1. Only 1. Sad little Tide Shaper.
So yeah, this is not great. Definitely. I guess the second land would allow him to play the Spreading Seas if it weren't for Kozilek, but also quite interesting decision to keep that hand. But he did mulligan down to 6, if I'm not mistaken.
Exactly. But it's not over yet. If they draw a land in the foreseeable future, maybe there is a chance, but it doesn't seem like it is. And we saw now why the Jund player didn't fetch the Blood Crypt, because one was in their hand and another mountain was as well. So they did not need the red mana, but the green one was needed for a prompt Tarmogoyf, which is a 3/4 right now. And, well, the Merfolk player is in all kinds of trouble.
Definitely. I think that Saga tokens are coming, and then another Saga token is coming, and then fetch
another
from
Saga
the deck.
token probably is coming. Oh, but we see another Tarmogoyf instead of a Saga token.
Indeed.
I mean, it's just pressure.
Yeah,
When you're ahead, yeah, exactly. That this doesn't matter. I think we're in turn three and we're already in garbage time.
I like that. I like that
I
name so
mean,
much.
this can shrink down the Goyfs for a little bit, but without a second mana source, this will just either be a cycle or be or just be not a permanent solution to the Goyfs. And we see now a Saga entering the graveyard, growing the Goyfs by a considerable margin, and another artifact being played exactly. And the jump player didn't even bother with the constructs. And I do think in this case, this is the correct decision because they have one mana floating. They will now.
No, he did make one construct.
Oh,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
no, yeah,
Uh,
yeah, yeah. Now they have made another one. But
yeah,
I
I
would
think.
argue
Yeah.
that having 4 or 5 powered Goyfs is better because the Torment script, I do not think removes all graveyards. It only removes target graveyard, if I'm not mistaken. Exactly. And now there's still 3/4.
Yeah, yeah, that's true. So I like the line you proposed in tapping the Saga just for a mana, but also as you mentioned, we are in garbage time. I think all lines are
Yeah,
quite.
all lines are very, very winnable lines.
Mhm.
So, but now we have Echoing Truth.
Now we have Echoing Truths. Now the game becomes a bit more interesting.
A little more interesting, yes.
So, okay, what can the Merfolk player do?
First of all, they should probably have exiled their own graveyard with the Torment script, and I will tell you why. Because they have the Relic of Progenitus,
Mhm.
which they didn't use already twice. And the first rule of Relic of Progenitus is whenever you have priority to use it, use it. The tap mode. Whenever you have mana to crack it, you crack it if you need to. But it is more valuable to just ping and remove
Mhm.
and move the cards, and not only your opponents but yours as well. And we
Mhm.
see here a DRC for 2 getting in, and because it has a Shadow Spear attached, and getting 2 life to the junk opponent. And another construct getting in also for 2 because of 2 artifacts.
Mhm. Okay, and Echoing Truths being were played, and they did their value. But again, there is another Echoing Truth in the Merfolk player's hand, but you can't win with Echoing Truth.
Exactly. Those are tempo plays, and tempo
Yes.
plays do not win you the game. And especially not if the other player has more pressure already on the board.
Hmm.
And we see there is a DRC and a construct that are not very sizable, but they are sizable enough to be a threat. And maybe more importantly enough, they're sizable enough to carry a Shadow Spear. And
Hmm.
now you have 3 different threats, all almost the same size, and you have one Echoing Truth, and what do you target?
Yeah, what's the best value you can get? Construct, Tarmogoyf,
Probably Construct.
probably
And it is the
Construct.
least impactful card in all of
Yeah,
this.
yeah.
And still we see the Relic of Progenitus being untapped on the Merfolk player's turn, and there being a fetch land in the graveyard. Okay, we see Silver Gill Adept being played, drawing a card, but first of all, tapping it with 2 blue and
Very
not a Mutavault.
questionable. Very
I
questionable.
mean, it's if they have nothing, it's the same.
Yeah,
They can fake
they can fake.
anything.
But again, Relic of Progenitus not being used. This,
Yes,
I think maybe the line was remove your graveyard from the game with 1 mana and leave a mana up for the Mutavault, because Mutavault can very efficiently block this DRC and also this Tarmogoyf, if I'm not mistaken, if the graveyard is removed.
yes, but both of those. So the tournament script removes only one graveyard, and now we see a problem. This is a Colligan's command,
Mm-hmm.
which can get rid of both the Silver Gill Adept and the Relic of Progenitus.
Yeah.
And what will we do? Oh no! It is discard a
Okay.
card. This is also this is fine. This is all great.
Yeah. Again, any line works for this situation.
Exactly. I do think the Tarmogoyf should be 1, 2, 3, probably 4. Yeah, so it's a 0/1. It doesn't matter. But the construct is a 2/2. The DRC is a 2/2, and they are crunching in and just dwindling the life total of the Merfolk player.
Nibbling on the
Yes.
Merfolk player. Checking
Comes.
out the relic.
Yes, exactly. Common mistake is if the relic exiles itself or not, but there is
Mm-hmm.
a little clause on the relic itself that says exile relic of progenitus. So there is no mistake.
There's no dilemma about
Yes,
that.
exactly. And this was very cleverly done so that actually the graveyards do stay empty. So that something like Tarmogoyf becomes a 0/1. But here we see Unholy Heat killing the first Merfolk that the Merfolk player played, and the beatdowns continue. Now the Tarmogoyf is a 2/3, and if the Jund player plays anything else, it will just grow, and the DRC will surveil cards into the graveyard. I do think that they missed the trigger, but I'm not sure. But yes,
Perhaps.
they will crack the peatland, draw a card. This is another type for the Tarmogoyf, and what does not die feeds the Tarmogoyf, as the flavor text says.
What do you think? So, if what are the rules about this? If there was no clause on the relic, oh,
We are done with the match. So the Jund player picks up 2/1 against Merfolk. I do think there are some not optimal lines played from both players, but definitely an interesting match to be had and to be on the camera. About
the
the
relic,
relic
there
of
was no
progenitus.
clause.
So the relic says one a column, then effect.
Mm-hmm.
Everything what is one, no, I'm sorry, one column sacrifice, then effect. Everything that is before the column is first a cost, and then after it is an effect. So you pay the cost, you put the relic into your graveyard, and then exile everything else. So I do think this is the correct one. So if there were not a clause on the relic itself, it would still be exiled, but this is just something so that there is no mistake.
Very good. Okay, and that's it for today and for this video. I hope you liked it. So it was an interesting matchup, definitely worth debating and definitely worth discussing. If you liked it, we would like you to discuss it with us and in the comment section. Tell us what do you think. If you agree with some of the things we said or disagree, we welcome all. If you liked the video, like, share, and subscribe, and it helps the channel immensely.
Thank you for watching. We'll see you next time.